and welcome to my channel. My name is n.r.b. I am the creator of n.r.b crafts, and today I bring you something a little different, and hopefully you haven't seen it, and if you have, well then this is my version of it. Today we will be making this beauty right here, and I guess it's kind of like a sideways burst in a way, or a peekaboo, because it has both of those elements. And to be completely honest, I have never made a burst tumbler. So, I guess in a way it's kind of my version of it. So, today what I will be using, and as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be using an airbrush for the very first time on a tumbler. And I am by no means an expert in airbrushing or know a lot about it. I barely got into it, but I had this idea for the tumbler and I just went with it and trusted in my gut. So I am in love with how the tumbler came out. This is the airbrush that I used. It's not plugged in or anything. This is my compressor back here. I just went with the flow, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Alright, so here we are going to start off by removing the excess vinyl around our decal. And as you can see, I just typed out the word crafter in the font Mega Flowers. I got this font off of Creative Fabrica, and I will have a link in the description below. You can use it. I gain nothing from this. Here I'm just gonna remove the excess, like I said, off of the word, and then once I go in to remove the inside of my font, like the little pieces that I need to remove, I will be reverse weeding that. So if you don't know what reverse weeding is, it is when you apply your decal before weeding anything out, and you apply it onto your project before that. Once you apply it to your project, you can just remove the pieces you need to remove, and your decal is completely weeded out onto your project. Here I'm just making sure that I don't lift any of the parts that I'm going to need to stay, and my vinyl kind of sucked and it was sticking very much to the backing, so that's why you can see me struggling a little bit there. And yeah, this vinyl it was a pain to work with. So after this, we are going to apply our transfer tape onto the decal before weeding it out, like I said, since we are going to reverse weed the inside of the word. So here I am just doing a little time lapse, and like I said, this vinyl was giving me issues, so I had to go very slowly, which is why it's in a time lapse, because it took me quite a little while to remove the backing from this because it just wanted to stick onto the backing and I couldn't remove it. So after that, there you can see I actually pulled out some parts of it, and now I'm just placing it on my tumbler, and I'm just eyeballing this. There's no correct way to do it. I don't really ever measure to make sure that it's even, and here I am just pulling back the transfer tape carefully, making sure that my pieces don't lift, and I am just going to burnish them a little bit so that once I go in with my airbrush paint, none of it gets under my decal and creates kind of a weird look. So here, as you can see, this is still in the time lapse, so I did move pretty slowly on this. It's in a time lapse because if I would have kept it at the normal speed, we would be watching a 3-hour video most likely. Um, so here you can see I'm just reverse weeding the parts. I cannot speak today. The parts of the letters that need to be removed so that we have our little peekaboo effect after we apply our airbrush paints. And for the airbrush paints, I am using the Wicked brand, and I am using fluorescent colors because I really enjoy neon colors. And I did shake these up before putting them into my airbrush. I am working with I believe it was a 0.5 needle, and my PSI was at 35 or 40, I believe. And here I'm just going in a little circular motion so that I can get an even coverage on my paint. And I am going to be using the different colors in sections and trying to create a kind of like a gradient so that my colors flow correctly, or what I think looks good. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, I am by no means an expert in airbrushing, and I did mess up on a few parts. You can see on this part, I kind of went a little heavy-handed with my orange, and I kind of puddled the paint on the letter R right there, and I am trying to kind of blend it. And before I apply the color, as you can see on the bottom corner, I do kind of just spray a little bit onto the paper just to make sure that my colors are not blending, because even though I tried to clean the airbrush in between colors, I did notice that the previous color did stay a little, so I just wanted to make sure that it was clean before I moved on to my next color. So here you can see I'm kind of trying to get more of that gradient that I was looking for. So I just kind of move my airbrush from side to side so I can kind of blend it out and have a nice distribution of color, and I can create the in-between colors of the ones that I'm using. So I am using the 4 colors that you see. I am using the yellow, an orange, a pink, and at the very end I will be using a purple, which I am in love with this purple. It is a really nice purple, I think. So yeah, after I do this, um, after I finish this, I do go in with a napkin on that letter R that I messed up on, um, or that I felt I messed up on, to remove some of the excess paint. And I also go in on the letter C because I did go a little bit heavy-handed on that one as well. And as you can see, it was already starting to dry, but I just cleaned out my airbrush real quick, or tried to clean out my airbrush as well as I could so that I can remove all of the purple. And once I do that, I do go in again with all of my colors. So starting from the yellow to the orange to the pink and the purple. And I did notice that once I did this, I did manage to get that gradient effect more, since my paints were a little bit, I felt like I got the hang of using the airbrush a little bit better. And here you see I'm just going to kind of spritz a little bit here and there so that I won't go so heavy-handed on it again. And as you can see, I think I sort of managed how to do that. I did kind of blend my yellow and my orange a little, but to me that was fine. I mean, for the first time using an airbrush, I think it came out pretty good. So then once I go in with all of my colors again, um, I did try, again, like I was saying, I did try to create the gradient by kind of just moving my airbrush side to side so that it would overlap on the colors. And I did kind of do it from a further distance so that it was just kind of like a mist of from the um, airbrush paint. So here I am just going in with my pink again, and then I will be going in with my purple as well. And once I go in with my purple, I did kind of put a little bit more towards the bottom, I believe. I did anyways. Um, I think that these colors were so nice and so pretty. So with this kind of gradient-ish effect that we are going for here, we make it look really nice. So after my paint completely dried, I think I left it probably overnight or a couple hours for it to dry, and I made sure that it was completely dry. After that, I am going to remove the decal so we have that peekaboo effect. So then once we remove the decal, we can just see the white from the bottom of the tumbler. So our white based paint, or the base paint of the white. And I did kind of do this slowly because I wanted to make sure that if my paint was going to lift or chip or anything, that I didn't mess it up. And um, I did pull it back pretty slowly just to make sure that I wasn't going to ruin my tumbler. So then once I finished weeding out the whole tumbler, I tried to go back to see if I missed any spots, and I did miss some spots, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I just took my weeding tool and I went back in to remove the spots that I missed. And even after I epoxied it, I noticed I missed the spot, but that's completely fine because you can barely see it. So here you see I am just trying to pull it off. Like I said in the beginning of the video, my vinyl was being hard. It was it was either too sticky or it was probably old or heat got to it or something, but it wanted to stick to everything. It was permanent vinyl, so it was a little bit harder to remove. But even though it was permanent vinyl, I felt it was a little bit harder to remove than other permanent vinyls that I have used. So once we finish this, you can see I go with tweezers and my weeding tool to try to remove those spaces as best as I can. I do go in with the time lapse because I don't want to bore you guys with seeing me remove all of the decals. Again, if I would have left this at a regular pace, um, we would probably be watching an hour, 2 hour video. So here you can see the time lapse has started, and I am just going to go in with my weeding tool and the tweezers to remove all of that. So this is how our tumbler is looking at this point. And this is after it is completely weeded out. And like I said, I did miss a spot. And here I have mixed approximately 30 milliliters of epoxy. And I am going with Diamond Magic from Maestra Creations. This is a super fine glitter that you can mix into your epoxy, and it will make your tumbler shine so much, and it's so pretty. So like I said, I do go in with approximately 30 milliliters. And again, this is a time lapse. I did not mix my epoxy that fast, otherwise I would have a lot of bubbles in my epoxy. Um, so after with this first coat of epoxy, after it dried, I did go back in with approximately 30 milliliters again, and just to make sure it was completely covered, I torched my tumbler just to make sure I didn't have the bubbles. And after this, I was finished with my tumbler. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Um, if you would like to see any other videos, let me know in the comments if you would like to see a specific video, and I will give it a shot at creating the tumbler you would like to see. And that is all from me, you guys. I will see you next Saturday. Thank you all for watching.